Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we are here again with another live Real 50 over 50 interview. And today we have Kim Conant. Conant?
Conant, yep.
Conant? Okay.
Perfect.
She's a personal brand photo and strategist with 20 years, more than 20 years of experience in personal branding, marketing, and sales. And she helps women over 50 build personal brands that highlight their expertise and empower them to be the face of their brands. And her secret sauce is making older women look cool. And I love that. So, welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Donna. It's great to be here. I love the work
I'm
that you
very
do.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. I love it too because I get to every Wednesday and on the occasional Thursday get to talk to incredible women that are doing amazing things in the world, and I want to learn more about what you're doing.
Well, I want to the quote that I had put that you read, "I make older women look cool." When
Hmm.
I first started doing photography, I was getting women that were drawn to me, of course, that are closer to my age. And one woman specifically reached out, and she's like, I had to call you and hire you because you make older women look cool. And I was like, oh, I loved that because, there's this misconception, as we all know, that like, oh, you're over 50 and you just disappear, you're dead. And it's like you and I were just talking about, it's actually the opposite. It's when you come alive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when I started this project and started to do research, my first go-to is keyword research, and what I was finding was everything was about hair, makeup, serious health conditions, and what not to do.
Yeah.
And it really fired me up because I was like, okay, so there are like major organizations, corporations, governments, industries using the same information that I am finding right now to speak to an entire demographic of women, and they've got it all wrong.
Yeah. I've seen a shift in the last
Yeah.
year or so, right? And especially with your post the other day when you were talking about, is it Mika? No.
Mika
What?
Brzezinski.
Yes. So I feel like there has been a shift because you're right. If you
Mhm,
did do a search, you'd always find stuff about retirement, or it was
mhm.
really like
Yeah.
women over 50. They were showing women like maybe in their 70s, and it was just a misconception. But I really feel like things are shifting in these last couple of years. We're living longer. It's the most powerful demographic, right? Economically,
Yeah.
and with education. So I have my sister-in-law works for a international media company, and they're putting a lot of their chips on this demographic because of its power.
Yeah. That's really good to hear. Um, I was not the only one doing that research at the same time because a month after I launched this, Julia Louis-Dreyfus launched her podcast,
Love
Wiser
her.
Than Me, which for 2 years in a row was the most popular podcast that came out.
Yeah.
And then it was bumped by Mel Robbins, so, do the
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
Literally.
Exactly.
We've got something to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I see more of that, and it's really great because I think when I first started, like in 2020 is when I decided to change my life, right? I was
Mhm.
48 years old before COVID like hit. I was thinking like, okay, what am I going to do right now with my life? The job that I was in wasn't panning out. Before that, I had been in real estate, so I was in sales, and then I worked at Harvard for a little bit doing marketing. And I think what happened was I was 48 and I was nearing 50, and you and I were talking about how 50 really is a different something happens when you turn 50.
It
You know,
really
you
does.
yeah, you finally realize like, oh, there's no more like later or let me wait and see or and it's like, okay, if I'm going to do something, it's now or never. And that's what I started thinking. And then COVID hit, and I think a lot of us had that time to think, okay, if not now, when? I mean, we don't know,
Well,
like,
mortality took on a whole new level of meaning.
right? It really did. And then you're like, wait a minute, I may not have another opportunity. And then you're seeing the news every day, right? And you're
Mhm.
like, okay, I want to make sure that I am I'm having deeper experiences. I think that's the difference. Like in my
Yeah.
40s, I went through a lot of things like a lot of people do. I got divorced, I changed jobs, my whole entire life shifted. But now I have this time to focus on, okay, what is really important to me and how do I want to live the rest of my life? And I don't
And
want.
I think that that's something that doesn't really happen until you're in your 50s. Like if you've got, I mean, unless you've got no other responsibilities, but if you have a job that's demanding and you have kids and you have aging parents and you have, friends that are going through the same thing, your time is not your own. And, until you have a little bit of space, I mean, like, how do you make choices like that when you've got a kid like who's a senior in high school and you're going through a divorce and you're selling your house and like and your mother has something going on, and she lives 5 states away and like how do you do it? You
I
don't. There's no
know.
space, so you put things aside. And I think once the dust settles, which happens in your 50s for
Yep.
most people, then you have the time to sit and go, well, what do I actually want? And for some people,
Yes.
that's the first time that they've ever had the space to ask themselves that question because it was never even an option before.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Everyone comes before you, and then finally
Yeah.
you've got this time to think about, okay, what do I want? And you have the time, but you also have the experience. And that's the exciting thing, and why I love what you do and I love what I do, because I meet women who maybe they're, whatever, they could be in their 50s, 60s, 70s, but the ones that are in their 50s that are leaving their corporate job to start a new business, they're so excited about it. It's like they're like, "You know what, Kim? I have spent the last 25 years, 30 years of my professional life climbing the ladder, getting to the position that I wanted to do, raising kids, etc. And now I want to take my expertise and I want to start my own business, whether it's a consultancy business or a coach. That's the majority of the women that I meet. But they want to build something for themselves on their time.
Mhm.
And it's such a powerful place to be in. Like, even though they might feel confused, like where to start, it's still a powerful place to take that control of your life and say, I'm going to do things the way I want to do them. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. And, you know, when we do that, like the possibilities really are endless. And to watch somebody, well, first to experience that for yourself is amazing. But then to watch people go through that process
Yeah.
is such a gift. It's
Yeah.
really such a gift
Yeah,
because
it really is.
they
Yeah.
transform.
The transformation, yeah, and there's like 2 parts. What I love most about, what I do is the image. Your image is everything, but we all know that the better we feel about ourselves, the more confidence that we have. So, being able to take pictures of women and men, but of women that feel great about themselves, it's such a powerful feeling. Like they leave the shoot and they're just like on top of the world. And when they get their pictures, they're like, oh my God. And it just helps you. Um, I don't know, because when you're starting your own business, being the face of your brand and then all of a sudden having to like be on social media or promoting yourself, being on a panel, et cetera, if they're not used to that, it can be overwhelming and intimidating, especially the social media part. But having images that you feel comfortable and confident about totally changes how you feel. And I love that transformation.
Yeah, yeah, and that looks like them, you know?
Yes.
But a little bit more buffed and polished, But, like, I had a photo shoot once where they put so much makeup on me. Like, my eyelashes kept bumping into my glasses, and
Oh man.
in all the pictures with glasses on, my eyes look buggy.
Oh, no, no. I have to say the majority of the people that I photograph for personal branding photos 50 plus, don't get professional makeup done. And if
Mhm.
they do, I have a woman that I use that's awesome, Valentina. Valen Box is the name of her company, and she's awesome. And she does a natural look.
Mhm.
But yeah, no fake lashes because it's not a glam session. And then
Yeah.
people end up feeling like, Kim, this doesn't feel like me, and then you're awkward throughout the shoot. So
Yeah.
I think that you're right, being natural and not erasing wrinkles. I
Mhm.
don't I might smooth out skin, of course, but our wrinkles are our badge of honor, right? Not everybody,
Mhm.
it's a privilege to be this age, you know?
Mhm. For sure. Um, my favorite photographer that I work with, he does not touch up.
Oh, nothing? Oh, wow. I always do a little bit, just a little, because
Yeah.
just to even out the skin. But yeah, I
And
would never I would never do it to where it doesn't look like the person, of
yeah,
course not. Yeah.
and my brother's a photographer, um, and he's amazing, but he can't take pictures of me
No, why?
because I always have a look of hesitation in my eyes when he takes my pictures.
Interesting. Yeah,
It's
you
my
know him
own
too well. Yeah, exactly.
So, and he's amazing. I mean, he just came back from Cuba doing a whole photo shoot there. He's like, he's
Wow.
taken pictures of presidents and he's a movement photographer, so he takes pictures of ballet and yoga and,
Oh,
just, all kinds of I mean, he's been a photographer his whole life. Um, but
you'll
he
have to
can't take
send me his name and
yeah,
so I can
it's
look at
just
his.
Pravada.com.
Oh, awesome. Or easy. I'll
That's his
definitely
work
look him
right
up.
behind it.
Oh, wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's amazing, but he's not my photographer.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that completely. Plus, too, I always say that you have to feel comfortable with the photographer that you with, and not every photographer is for you, right? It's
Yeah,
like you have to find that one that you feel comfortable
yeah,
with, and that's not your
yeah.
brother. I don't think I'd feel comfortable with my brother taking my picture either.
But it's so important, to have really good images,
Mm.
and then you could mix it with other things. Right? Like, I
Yeah,
tell my clients
absolutely.
all the time, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't show up perfect. But you do need that foundation of really good photography. And then as far as, I'd love to, like, get your take on this too. This is one of the things I tell my clients all the time is to just start taking pictures of everything they see that captures their eye and create your own library of stock images
Mm,
instead
mhm.
of using stock images because I have a total disconnect when I see stock imagery. I mean, I've worked with clients that they had no choice but to use it because, like one was a mental health agency that worked with children. They had to use stock imagery. But again, there's a slippery slope there because we did a whole campaign around this image. And then we see on the side of a bus the same image and they put the girl in prison and put bars in front of her. And we had to
Oh!
change it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I never thought about that, you're right. That's hysterical. Yeah, you know what? They are getting better with stock imagery, and
Yeah.
there's some new ones that
Mhm.
have been started by photographers. They're more
Mhm.
expensive, and I think
Yeah.
you have to get a like a subscription, but
Mhm.
it is worth it if you just need a few for your website.
Yeah.
They're more unique than that
Mhm.
plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say there's a definite disconnect. For me, I think majority of people, if you were to go to somebody's website and they had unprofessional, blurry pictures, and you could tell that they cropped themselves out of a picture, or there's a lot of stock imagery, or there's no imagery. I was on somebody's website
Mhm.
the other day that didn't have one photo,
Yeah.
and it was the weirdest feeling because come on, for the last 10 plus
Mhm.
years, more than that, we've had
Mhm.
Instagram,
Canva.
everything's visual. To not
Yeah.
have, like, any picture, I'm like, "What is this?" But professional photography is, like, the number one, well, besides also the writing, but
Mhm.
that first glance is the number one indicator of professionalism. So, I wrote a post today that was, like, 5 must-have images. I mean, it is an investment to work with a professional photographer, but you can get some 5 solid images that can give people a
Yeah.
more dynamic, you can give yourself a nice dynamic look, that gives people a better idea of who you
Mhm.
are.
Yeah. And they need to be updated too. Like,
Yes.
women over 50, let's say you go gray.
Yes.
You gotta get new images.
Yeah, I know some realtors in my town who I know what they look like, and I'm like, "Your headshot is, like, from 40 years ago."
Oh
So
my
if you
goodness.
were meeting a client, they wouldn't know where to how to find you.
This was years ago, but I had a table at an event. I was doing like a vendor thing, and right across the aisle from me was this woman that had her face plastered on everything, right? And she was there in the middle. So that was like a little disconcerting to begin with because it was just like her all over the
Oh, yeah.
place, and then her in the middle. She didn't look anything like the images. In her images, she kind of looked like me. In real
Interesting.
life, she
Yeah.
had gray hair down to her waist.
Wow, yeah,
That
that's a
takes
no-no.
years.
Yeah, exactly, right. Wow. Well, I like your tip that you give your, clients because we over the last summer, Beth Canals and I had a group of women together, and we kind of made reels, but it really
Mhm.
was it's not like, it wasn't like a professional class, but it was just to get people comfortable with, like you were saying, take pictures of your surroundings, and you'll get better at it
Yeah,
if you like it, but it also doesn't have to be perfect.
it
Like
doesn't
your
yeah,
website pictures, yes, but not blog posts or
no,
posts
no,
on Instagram.
and the thing is it gives people a glimpse into you.
Yes,
It
yes, and
builds
authentic,
trust.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it builds trust. They get a little glimmer into, like, what you care about, what you stand for, and that means so much more than some random stock image.
Do you have people who, like, that you work with, women 50 plus, that's like a big, barrier or fear of theirs of sharing themselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is because they're in this stage of, you know, changing,
Mm,
transitioning into somebody else. And what happens, like this is something that I've done with clients for years. I used to call it a content audit, but it's not a content audit because when I took myself through it, I was like, okay, that's not that.
yeah,
But
that's funny.
but it's basically like going through what you've accomplished. So, for
Mhm,
me, because I do marketing, it's your content, but it could be anything, right? And what happens is when you get to this age where, now you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't fit in that world anymore. I have to create this new thing. You automatically go to everything I've done in the past sucks. I have to burn down all the ships. I have to start over again. I have no value. I'm like a 12-year-old all over again. But that's so far from the truth. And like
mhm,
when you take people through what they've already accomplished and they see it, it almost becomes like this dragon slayer of imposter syndrome. And they
mhm,
build this confidence up again and they feel good about themselves. And it's not reinvention because
right.
reinvention is one of those things that was sold to us as a bag of goods. And that's telling us that we're not good, that we are broken, that something has to change, but it's not us that has to change. It's just the way we're thinking about ourselves. And when we start to kind of bring back these pieces of things that we've accomplished or even failed and like made it through, or
Yeah,
lived through something, when you start to gather these pieces together, you start to see this different version of yourself. And then you pick and choose the parts that you want to take with you. And when you see somebody go through that process, it's remembering, it's not reinventing.
yes.
It's
Yes.
remembering, reclaiming, and evolution, and that's what it is. And when you approach anything new from that space, it's so incredibly powerful. And to watch somebody realize that when they read something that they wrote 10 years ago. I have a client that found a book in a Google Drive somewhere that 13 years ago, she wrote 3/4 of a book when she was in Paris, and she forgot all about it.
Wow.
It changed her.
Wow, that's powerful. We were just
So
talking about this morning in a networking group about having a, Robin from Peloton?
mhm,
Okay, so I watched her masterclass and she was talking about having, a highlight reel of all the
mhm,
things that you've achieved, right, in your life. So when you're like trying to conquer something or having, whatever, fear of doing whatever. imposter syndrome. You can have your highlight. And I was like, I haven't done anything. I haven't accomplished anything. But then when I one day started cleaning out like my photo albums and I started to see things in my life,
Yeah,
like you just said, things I've either written
yeah,
or having my son, getting married, traveling, running that half marathon,
mhm,
working at Harvard with this great group of people. It was like, oh, so I got that highlight reel back and
yeah,
all the things I was saying that were negative, now I have this to play instead of, the other
yeah,
soundtrack.
yeah, it's not a burning down of the ships, it's a gathering of the fleet.
It's burning down the negative, which may not even be true because it's like we
But if you
distort.
don't even have yeah, you don't have to
Yeah,
burn it down because
yep.
it helped you see what not to do, and what not to do is sometimes more important than what you should do.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge that some women that I work with have, right? That's why I've added this service because I would have women come to me thinking maybe they started with photos, and I was like, "No, that's actually the last step." And
Mhm,
they've never really had to think about building their brand, but it's using that past experience, what makes it layered and really juicy and interesting, like you just were talking about, is
yeah,
that you have years of experience, both personally and professionally, that you're bringing to this new endeavor. So
mhm,
it's just finding that through line, or how do you, if that's part of your personal brand that you want to share multiple things that you do, is bringing it all together because
yeah,
that's what makes you a dynamic and interesting person.
yeah,
But what are you
and
going to
when
lead with?
you could marry the wisdom with the expertise,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
what makes you really unique because,
Yes.
we've all done how many things at this point?
Yeah. 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 That's really cool. I don't mind the word reinvention, but I understand it from what you're saying. And that is, um, because I did do this little, I was telling you about it, this little mini series, a podcast that was called Room for Reinvention. And it was anyone that, has like reinvented their lives from so it's like complete reinvention. Like one woman there was in her 30s, got divorced. She was a stay at home mom, and now she does bodybuilding. It's like a complete, but it still was taking what she's learned from this experience and what she had before for this new phase in her life.
Mhm,
Um, so yeah, I think that's the most important part. If you are thinking about if you're using that word as like you were saying, you're not burning it down
yeah.
because life is full of transformations and
But
they
we're
make
not
us
taught
who we are.
that. We were not taught that. We were taught you do something and you stick with it until you're dead, you know? And it's a
Yeah.
lot to get past that.
Yeah. Yeah. Another cool thing that is happening too is like I meet women in their 60s and 70s who are retired, but that are
Mhm,
starting new businesses or
mhm,
they're starting like side hustle. I got to find another word for side hustle, but um,
mm,
because listen, we're living longer. You're not sitting at home watching TV. I mean, maybe if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But there's so much creativity and so much things. So I'm so inspired by this group of women that I hang out with. They have art shows. Another one has an upcoming art show. The other one's making jewelry, and she's going to Italy because she loves fashion and how to make clothes. And
mm,
it's really cool. The intergenerational relationships are so important, but
yeah,
also, like we were saying, something happens at 50, you're different, and you were telling me 60 is different too.
yeah. 60 when I just turned 60 in May, and, like, this calm came through me. There was all this stuff going on in my life that should have caused total chaos, and I was just like, "That's not happening because it
Nice.
doesn't really matter." And, it'll fix itself or I'll fix it, but, it's not gonna come crashing into my life. If I was 40, it would've decimated me.
Wow. But now you feel more
I
grounded?
Yeah, I just know who I am, and
Mm,
I know what I stand for, and I know who I am as a human being and what I care about and what really matters, and, um, I don't think it could be swayed at this point.
Yeah.
I'm always open-minded to hear anything, but, you know, if you're gonna wanna root me out of my values, you're gonna have to have a damn good reason.
I think that that is, when I talk to my friends who are in their 60s and 70s, that's definitely something that they have said. They know who they are.
Mhm.
You know your values, and there's less time thinking about what other people are thinking about what you're doing. You don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like when you were in your 20s or 30s and
But it's a different kind of you don't care. It's not a
exactly.
it's not a rebellious, "I don't care."
No, it's a
It's a
deep
very
knowing.
it's a peaceful, "I don't care."
Exactly. I don't care because look at how often, especially women, have cared about being judged. What do I look like? You
Well,
know, the male gaze,
yeah.
our whole entire lives are about the perception or what we think we have to give to others. So when you
Mhm,
get to this age, you're like, it is, you're saying that 50s are like the teenage years. It's
mhm,
kind of true because you find this liberation and the exciting part of getting to know yourself again,
mhm.
right? And then delve into those things that maybe you were too afraid to access or try. So it really is this fun time. And you're not worried about, I don't know, you're not worried about other things. You're worried about yourself and the people in your life and what you care about in deeper experiences. Then you understand that time is what's so important in deeper experiences. That's what this age is a gift for that.
You get crystal clear on what really matters,
Yep. Yeah.
and
Yeah, yep, and it's like you realize that all of this stuff that's pushed at us, like the anti-aging and, oh my god, I was watching, I think it was the BBC or something, and I'm like, "Oh my god, look at these presenters, they've got wrinkles." Like, you would never see that here. You're not
mhm.
allowed to have a wrinkle on TV, but yeah,
Yeah, well, we are the generation that made this change.
yeah, that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, it is, and, I am very happy, there's a lot of things in this world I'm not happy about right now, but I'm really happy to be part of this
Yeah.
because I think even quietly, we're making a difference.
Yeah, I've seen a big difference from even from 2020, it's 5 years ago,
Mhm.
so all of that work that was done before and all the work that's, been going on and, what you're doing, what we're all doing, it's
Yeah,
definitely making a
there's a
difference.
lot of communities like this, and, you know, I always reach out to people, I try and kinda bring people together because I think there's just power in all of us knowing each other and benefiting from each other, and, having these conversations, I think is just critical
It
because
it is, yeah.
I think one of the things that makes it possible to kind of put people in a corner when they get to a certain age is that they don't have community.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I wish that when I had started thinking about like, okay, I'm going to leave my career at 48 and I'm going to completely, whatever, transform my career. I couldn't find a community. Like I wanted to find a community of women that were my age, 48, 50 plus, so I could see how did they do it or how are they doing it or, and I couldn't find it. So it's great to have you here, but other people now that are really
Mhm.
focusing on this
Yeah.
because it can be intimidating when you're starting to do something new and you think, okay, I got to start networking and I need to learn how to present myself with social media. And then you go online and you see all of these, like, I don't know, younger groups. That's how I felt. And there's nothing wrong. I hang out with younger people, of course, in my networking groups now. But when you're starting, you just kind of, it's intimidating. So to
Yeah.
have a community of women that get you, understand you, or kind of in the same place is really important.
What I always say about this community is we're the women you're out there looking for.
Mhm. Yeah, that's genius, you're right.
Yeah, and it's, and there's a lot of us, there's a lot more. This is just one little corner, but, I think that, we could really change things, and I also feel like there's things um, that will no longer exist, that already no longer exist, that we're almost like, the keepers of,
Mm,
and,
interesting.
it's our responsibility to bring it forward to the next generation.
Yep.
I've done that with my son with music. This child knows music.
Oh, nice. Good. Yeah.
We started doing music appreciation Sundays with YouTube videos on the couch when he was 3,
Oh, that's such a great thing to do. So
and he's
cool.
a musician,
Oh my god, what does he play?
guitar and bass.
Nice.
He actually just did a theme song for us. I don't have it up yet, but he's still
Oh,
working on it.
nice. I'll have to keep an eye
But
out.
yeah, so anyway, we just went through a half an hour.
Yeah, I know that went by like 5 minutes. Thank you for having me.
So connect with Kim. Here's her website. She does amazing photography and branding, and both are so super important. We are all personal brands, whether you want to admit it or not. Even if you're working in a company, you are a personal brand, and we all have our own distinct voice, our own distinct identity, and and we need to share it. We need to fly our freak flag, no matter what age we're at. And
Exactly.
so connect with Kim, and we have a wisdom panel tomorrow on self dot dot dot. So we're going to go through all the selves, and we have weekly interviews booked every Wednesday at noon Eastern Time, live all the way through August. So keep coming back.
Nice.
And Kim, I like to end these interviews with a wisdom bomb. So something small and actionable, but has some punch to it that people can take with them.
Well, I have 2. One is it's just a saying that everybody always says, "It's never too late."
Mhm.
But that is my motto, and it's on my website. It's never too late. I used to think sometimes that it was, but it's not. And, if I didn't take that first leap 5 years ago, I would I wouldn't be where I am now, which I'm happy about. And then the other one is Seth Godin that we both love. It's not like a bomb, but I just think it's great on the back of his book where he says, "You're not in traffic, you are traffic."
I love
There
that.
you go. I
I
appreciate
love
you
that
having
book.
me on, Donna. It was really great talking with you and being part of this community, and the work that you do is really, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart because
Well,
you are the person I'm looking for and all the other women. So thank you for letting me be a
yeah.
part of it.
And thank you for sharing your voice and your stories and your experience and your wisdom.
Thank
And
you.
connect with Kim. If you're listening on the replay, tag us with comments, questions, ideas, and we'll keep the conversation going. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everyone.